Love is not easily angered. Love keeps no record of wrongs. Today we're looking at our next little phrase, exploring together the way love works. This passage starts off with that whole idea of anger. So maybe I can pose you a question right at the beginning. What makes you angry? What are those circumstances where you sense your heart beginning to race, your blood beginning to boil and steam coming out of your ears? You'll know the things, won't you? Those things that especially hit your buttons and make you angry. But not all anger is necessarily a bad thing. In fact, when I read through the Gospels and look at Jesus, there was one particular incident where Jesus got really angry. Why did he get angry? What motivated that? Well, he got angry because he saw injustice happening in front of him and no one caring. And so he got angry that the marginalised, the outsiders were getting overlooked. And so he got angry. Some anger is righteous anger because it's challenging those things that need to be challenged. But this passage in 1 Corinthians is not actually about that type of anger. It's about anger that can become destructive. It's about the anger that can destroy and break up relationships. I guess if you've ever been the recipient of the wrong kind of anger, you know that when it's coming at you, you want to retreat. It means that you want to move away. It separates you. It hurts you. It causes pain. And it destroys your relationships. And it hurts. So how do we handle this kind of anger? How can we love in a way that builds the other person up and it doesn't destroy them? When I think about how to handle anger, I think a useful starting point is not so much about what makes us angry, but why do I get angry in the first place? And to answer that why question, I think at its most basic level, I get angry because something I expected to happen doesn't happen. An expectation I have is not met, and I get angry. And the Bible actually speaks about this. In the book of James, chapter 4 and verse 1 to 2, the writer is actually addressing this question. He begins by saying this: what is causing the quarrels and fights among you? In other words, what's making you angry with one another? What's causing you to fight? And he goes on to answer that question. They come from the evil desires that war within you. You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what other people have and you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take away from them. You see, he's describing a destructive anger, and the why is because there is a desire that I have that's not being met, an expectation that's not being met, and therefore it's leading to frustration and anger. There's a selfish desire that doesn't get met, and I get angry. I expect my Wi-Fi to be as fast as it possibly can be, but it keeps on crashing. I get angry. I expect the bin to be put out every Thursday night without having to ask. It doesn't, so I get angry. I expect the other people on the road to behave as they should. They don't, so I get angry. I expected the holiday that I've saved up for all year to go on would be peaceful, would be relaxing. But the hotel is a building site, so I get angry. I expect, after a long day of work, when I ask my children to go to bed, they go to bed on time. They don't. So I get angry. I expect to get listened to, but I'm ignored. I get angry. I expect to be loved, but love is withheld. I get angry. When our expectations are not met, frustration happens, and that can so easily overflow into anger. So what's the solution? Well, there's another verse, just a simple verse actually, that gives two practical ways that we can deal with anger. And it's found in Ephesians 4 and verse 26. And it says this: "And don't sin by letting anger control you." Don't sin by letting anger control you. There's something real about that when we begin to get angry, when we sense our heart going and the frustration building up and we just want to scream and get angry with the person in front of us, the writer of Ephesians says, don't let that control you. Take control. You take control. How? Well, I think in that moment we need to stop and ask ourselves the question. Take a step back. What is the expectation? What was I expecting to happen that isn't happening now? Because that's the why of you getting angry. And then sometimes we need to lay those expectations down or bring them to the other. Because so often they're about me and what I want, what I expect. Lay them down. Live a selfless life. But the verse doesn't actually just finish there. It says, don't sin by letting anger control you. And don't let the sun go down while you are still angry. For anger is a foothold for the devil. That's quite a big thing, isn't it? Because anger is a foothold for the devil. We will get angry. We won't always be in control. But then we have another choice. To say, this day, I have been angry, but I'm not going to let the day end without an apology and a restoration. I'm not going to let the day finish without an apology and a restoration. Because I am not prepared to let the devil have a foothold in this relationship. I'm going to be slow to anger. Whatever it takes. So if we don't handle our anger well, we'll end up hurting those around us. And actually in any relationship, you will be let down by one another. You will hurt one another. And so that leads us to the second portion of that Corinthians verse. Love is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. You see, every time you are wronged, you have a choice. What are you going to do with the thing that's been done to you? Some of us like collecting things. We collect all sorts of stuff. It might be shoes. It might be watches, it might be those little plastic toys or DVDs or games or even stamps. We're good at collecting things. But some of us are really good and have become skilled at collecting the wrongs that have been done to us. We file them away in chronological order. We maybe subdivide them into particular people or times or locations. We store up every wrong. It becomes our catalogue. And what I've seen is if that becomes our pattern, often those past wrongs become ammunition in future arguments. It might happen a little bit like this. You forget to put the bin out and you're told, why have you forgotten to put the bin out? And so you respond, well, that wasn't as bad as 2 weeks ago when the dinner got ruined because you were late from work and you never told me. Oh, we're going to go there, are we? Well, that was nothing compared with you forgetting our anniversary and you booked something else on. Oh, so that's how we're playing this. Well, at least I didn't insult you in front of all your friends because that hurt. You see, if we keep a catalogue of wrongs, the temptation becomes, I'm going to use them again and again and again. Whenever I get angry or into an argument, my past catalogue or collection of wrongs can be used time and time again as ammunition in my arguments. But love keeps no record of wrongs. You may have a mental list of the wrongs that have been done to you. Those things that have hurt you and wounded you and been destructive. It's a record. And you might want to mentally go through that now, or even take a moment later to literally write those things down. And then, in that moment, bring it before God and say, love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. I'm going to discard this list. And I'm going to choose now to not use it as ammunition for future arguments with those people I love. Love is not easily angered. And love keeps no record of wrongs.